There's a certain stereotype about UK beaches. Most people picture the overrun strips of Brighton in summer, the crowded piers of Blackpool, or the postcard-perfect but pricey bays of Cornwall. And while those are all part of Britain's coastal DNA, they're only a fraction of the story. Beyond the obvious tourist magnets, the UK's 11,000-mile coastline hides pockets of quiet, character-filled beauty that seem untouched by the chaos of the modern property market. Tucked away on windswept headlands, hidden at the ends of narrow country lanes, or stretching out silently in little-known corners of the shoreline, these towns seem to have slipped out of the mainstream entirely. They are the places where you might stand ankle-deep in the shallows on a warm day and realise you have an entire beach to yourself, where your only company might be a couple of dog walkers in the distance and the cry of gulls overhead. The kind of places where the air is saltier, the pace is slower, and the idea of rush hour means waiting for a tractor to pass on a single-track lane. These are not just beaches. They're living, breathing communities that happen to exist beside some of the most underrated stretches of sand, shingle, and rock in the country. They don't all scream resort. In fact, many are the opposite. Some are working fishing towns where the harbour still dictates the rhythm of the day. Others are historic ports, whose glory days as trade hubs have faded, leaving behind handsome buildings, old stone walls, and a certain quiet dignity. And a few are barely more than a scattering of cottages perched above a perfect cove, the kind of place that seems like it belongs in a children's book illustration. What they share is a rare combination: natural beauty without the overcrowding, everyday livability without the inflated price tag, and the feeling that you've stumbled upon a secret the world hasn't quite caught on to yet. In these places, property prices don't require a trust fund or a lifetime of saving, and the soundtrack to daily life is more likely to be waves breaking against the shore than the clink of coins in a slot machine. Cromer, Norfolk. Cromer sits on the North Norfolk coast, staring straight out at the North Sea with a kind of unshakable optimism that's been part of its character for more than a century. This is the home of the famous Cromer crab, sweet, delicate, and best eaten fresh from a stall on the pier. But for all its Victorian elegance and fishing heritage, Cromer isn't a fossilised seaside museum. It's a working town, a place where kids still jump off the pier in summer, the lifeboat station still launches in bad weather, and the sandy beaches roll out in both directions without interruption. The beach itself is a gentle sweep of golden sand when the tide's out, backed by a low cliff and a promenade that's more about strolling than hustling for deck chairs. Cromer Pier, with its theatre and amusements, is the focal point. But step away from it, and you can walk for miles along the shore without much company beyond dog walkers and the occasional kite flyer. At low tide, rock pools appear to the east, where kids hunt for crabs with buckets. And to the west, the beach runs all the way to West Runton and Sheringham. Cromer's appeal lies in its balance. There are enough cafes, pubs and shops to keep life interesting year-round, but it's not overbuilt or over-commercialised. The town centre still has a traditional butcher, a greengrocer and independent bookshops. Housing is a mix of Victorian terraces, Edwardian villas and more modest post-war homes. While prices have crept up in recent years, they're still more reasonable than the South Coast headline resorts. You can find a tidy two-bedroom flat from around £160,000 and even some detached family homes with gardens for under £300,000. A bargain compared to the prices in Devon or Dorset for a similar seaside setting. For anyone looking to live by the sea without losing a sense of community, Cromer is one of those rare coastal towns that works year-round. Schools are good, healthcare is accessible, and Norwich is less than an hour away for bigger city amenities. And when the day's done, you can walk down to the sand and watch the North Sea turn gold in the evening light, with nothing but the waves between you and Denmark, Machynlleth, mid-Wales, Aberdyfi nearby. Machynlleth might not sit directly on the water, but it's the gateway to one of the most overlooked beach areas in Wales, the sweeping sands of Aberdyfi, just a short drive or train ride away. Nestled in the Dyfi Valley, this market town is steeped in history. It was the seat of Owain Glyndwr's Welsh Parliament in 1404, and it has the kind of slow, steady pace that makes you wonder why more people don't live here. The beach at Aberdyfi, or Aberdofi, is the sort of place you imagine in childhood stories. A vast, clean expanse where the tide creeps in so far and so gently that it seems to take the whole afternoon. The dunes roll behind it, hiding golf courses and walking trails, and the estuary mouth opens out to views of Snowdonia's peaks on a clear day. It's the kind of scenery that stops you mid-step, yet somehow it remains unspoiled by mass tourism. Living in Machynlleth gives you that beach access without the coastal price premium. Housing here is considerably cheaper than in the postcard harbours of Pembrokeshire or the more famous stretches of North Wales. A cosy 2-bedroom terrace can be found for under £150,000, and even detached homes with land often list below £300,000. The town itself has a strong arts community, partly thanks to the nearby Centre for Alternative Technology, and its Wednesday market is one of the oldest in Wales. Transport links are surprisingly good for somewhere this rural. There's a train station on the Cambrian line with direct services to Aberystwyth and Shrewsbury, and from there to Birmingham. Day-to-day needs are easily met in town, with small supermarkets, cafes, pubs and independent shops. You get the feeling here that the coastline is part of your life, not just something to be photographed in summer. When the weather's good, you head to the beach. When it's wild, you walk the Dyfi estuary in a raincoat and come home to a fire. For anyone looking for a blend of coastal beauty, mountain backdrop and affordability, Machynlleth, with Aberdyfi in its back pocket, is one of the UK's quietest coastal wins. Whitley Bay, Tyne and Where Whitley Bay has had one of the most striking turnarounds of any UK seaside town in the past 2 decades. Once dismissed as a tired northern resort, it's now a place where regeneration has done exactly what it was supposed to: restored the charm, improved the facilities, and brought new life without erasing the character. The star of the show is still the beach, a golden curve of sand stretching for miles, backed by a promenade that invites long walks in any weather. The bay itself is anchored by St Mary's Lighthouse to the north, which you can reach at low tide along a causeway, and Spanish City to the south, a domed Edwardian pleasure building that's been lovingly restored into restaurants and event space. The beach is wide enough for serious kite flying, horse riding, and even surfing when the swell's right. Yet it's rarely crowded outside of peak summer weekends. Whitley Bay's location is one of its trump cards. You can be in Newcastle city centre in around 25 minutes by metro, making it entirely feasible for commuters who want to swap city pavements for sea air. That convenience, coupled with its ongoing revival, has nudged prices up, but they're still more reasonable than you'd expect for a beachside commuter town. Flats start from around £140,000, and you can still find 3-bedroom terraces for under £250,000. The town has excellent schools, plenty of shops, and a food scene that's growing every year, from fish and chips on the front to high-end dining. What really makes Whitley Bay stand out is its year-round livability. Some beach towns feel like they fold away in winter, but here, the cafes stay open, the promenade still fills with walkers, and the sense of community doesn't hibernate. Whether it's sunrise swims with the local wild swimming group, or just grabbing a coffee and watching the North Sea crash against the rocks, Whitley Bay offers a balance that's hard to find. Urban access, affordable property, and a beach that could hold its own against anywhere in the country. Lossiemouth, Moray. On the northeast coast of Scotland, Lossiemouth feels like the kind of place you'd expect to stumble across in a travel magazine photo spread, not in the middle of a property search. Known locally as Lossie, this fishing town turned seaside haven has 2 distinct beaches, each with its own personality and rhythm. To the west lies West Beach, a family-friendly stretch of golden sand backed by grassy dunes where children build sandcastles while the waves roll in gently. The Moray Golf Club runs almost to the shoreline here, so it's not unusual to see golfers and sunbathers sharing the same horizon. In the height of summer, you might spot paddleboarders gliding along the shallows, or families enjoying a picnic with the lighthouse glinting in the distance. To the east, East Beach offers a wilder experience. Framed by the River Lossie on one side and watched over by the striking White Cove Sea lighthouse on the other, it's a haven for walkers, photographers, and those who prefer a more untamed slice of coast. The tidal nature of this beach means that at low water, vast swathes of sand are exposed, while at high tide, the sea comes right up to the dunes. On calm days, the water here can be almost glassy. On windy days, the waves crash dramatically against the shore. Wildlife is part of everyday life in Lossiemouth. Dolphins regularly pass by offshore, seals occasionally haul out onto quieter stretches of sand, and seabirds wheel overhead in great numbers. The sunsets over the Moray Firth are spectacular. Long drawn-out affairs in summer that bathe the sea and sand in warm pinks, golds and purples. Unlike some remote Scottish gems, Lossiemouth is far from isolated. Elgin is just a 10-minute drive away for supermarkets, schools, healthcare and train services. The A96 links directly to Inverness and Aberdeen, both reachable in under 2 hours. For a small town, the amenities are well-rounded. Cafes serving fresh caught haddock, traditional fish and chip shops, a few boutique clothing stores, and an active harbour where pleasure boats sit alongside working vessels. Housing prices here are far more forgiving than you might expect for somewhere with this much natural beauty. A 2-bedroom flat can often be found for £120,000 to £150,000, while 3-bedroom family homes start around £180,000. Even detached houses with gardens and sea views can be had for under £300,000. The kind of figure that would barely get you a small terraced home in many parts of southern England. Lossiemouth also has a unique social mix, with a year-round community of locals, retirees and RAF personnel from the nearby RAF Lossiemouth base. This brings a steady flow of residents to the town and helps keep it lively outside the tourist season. The pace here is set by tides and seasons rather than the frantic beat of urban life. For someone seeking a home by the sea where tranquility doesn't mean isolation, Lossie is one of Scotland's most quietly remarkable finds. Porthcawl, Bridgend Porthcawl, is one of South Wales's most surprising coastal finds, a place where you can combine the buzz of a seaside holiday resort with the stability of a lived-in town. Wedged neatly between Cardiff and Swansea, Porthcawl's location means you can have sea views and sandy tows without losing access to big city work, culture or healthcare. The seafront here is impressively varied. Rest Bay is a surfer's paradise, known for its reliable waves and blue flag water quality. On summer mornings, you'll find wetsuit-clad locals jogging along the sand before hitting the water. Trecco Bay, by contrast, is a family favourite. Calmer waters, sheltered sands, and close to the large holiday park that brings seasonal visitors. In between are smaller coves and stretches like Sandy Bay, connected by a promenade that's perfect for evening strolls or morning runs. The town's historic harbour, complete with lighthouse, adds a layer of charm. It's small, but it's a working harbour, and there's something grounding about watching fishing boats head out at dawn and return in the late afternoon. The promenade has been steadily improved in recent years, with new seating areas, landscaping, and cafes offering fresh coffee with a sea view. Porthcawl's biggest advantage is accessibility. Cardiff is under 40 minutes by car, Swansea around the same. This makes it a realistic option for commuters who want a daily fix of sea air without uprooting their professional life. Despite this, the property market here hasn't overheated to the levels seen in some English coastal towns. You can still find neat 2-bedroom terraces for around £170,000, 3-bedroom semis at £200,000, and larger detached homes for £300,000 to £350,000. The town is well served for amenities, multiple primary and secondary schools, GP surgeries, supermarkets, and a high street that balances local businesses with the essentials. For leisure, it's hard to beat. The Royal Porthcawl Golf Club is considered one of the best links courses in the UK, regularly hosting major tournaments, while the seafront is a year-round playground for joggers, cyclists, walkers, and kite surfers. What makes Porthcawl stand out is that it's not just a summer destination. The population stays steady through winter, and the local calendar is dotted with events, from the quirky annual Elvis Festival to food and music gatherings that keep the streets and cafes lively. For anyone who wants a place that's both a functioning hometown and a destination people drive hours to visit, Porthcawl is one of the UK's best-kept coastal secrets. North Berwick, East Lothian. North Berwick has the kind of refined seaside charm that feels almost cinematic. Sitting just 30 minutes east of Edinburgh by train, it combines sandy beaches, a bustling harbour, and an upscale high street lined with independent shops, cafes, and art galleries. The town is flanked by two broad bays, East Bay and West Bay, each offering golden sand, rock pools, and views out to the Bass Rock, home to the largest gannet colony in the world. It's a place where you can spend the morning paddleboarding, the afternoon browsing boutique stores, and the evening dining in one of several excellent restaurants. Despite its beauty and accessibility, North Berwick manages to retain a sense of real community. Schools are well rated, public spaces are well kept, and there's a calendar full of local events from regattas to music festivals. Housing here is pricier than in many of the other towns on this list, but still represents good value compared to coastal hotspots in southern England. Flats start around £220,000. Three-bedroom houses are often in the £350,000 to £450,000 range, and larger period homes command more. But the lifestyle return is considerable. With direct rail links to Edinburgh, you can commute daily while living in a town that feels like a holiday destination. North Berwick also benefits from its surroundings. The East Lothian countryside is dotted with golf courses, walking trails, and historic sites, while the coastline beyond the town offers more secluded beaches and nature reserves. For those seeking a high-quality coastal life within striking distance of a capital city, it's hard to imagine a better candidate. Bamburgh, Northumberland. If there were a prize for the UK's most dramatically beautiful beach town, Bamburgh would be a front-runner. Perched on the Northumberland coast, this small village is dominated by Bamburgh Castle, a colossal storybook fortress that rises directly above the dunes. The sight of its stone walls against a backdrop of sand and sea is something you never quite get used to, even if you live there. The beach itself is an unbroken ribbon of pale golden sand stretching for miles in either direction. To the north, it runs toward the tidal island of Holy Island and Lindisfarne. To the south, it curves towards sea houses. The water here can be bracing. This is the North Sea after all, but it's startlingly clean, often with a translucent blue-green hue in summer. The dunes are high and wild, home to rare plants and birds, and they provide shelter from the coastal wind. Bamburgh is not a resort in the traditional sense. There are no arcades, no noisy piers, and no neon. Instead, the village has a handful of cafes, a couple of pubs, a general store, and small galleries. Its small size is part of the magic. The atmosphere is peaceful year-round, even in peak summer when day trippers arrive to see the castle. The sense of history is everywhere, from the castle itself, which has roots back to the 6th century, to St Aidan's Church, where you can trace over 1,000 years of Christian heritage. Housing in Bamburgh is expensive relative to much of Northumberland, but for the setting, it's still a fraction of what you'd pay for equivalent coastal beauty in southern England. Small cottages can start around £350,000, while larger period homes, can run into 7 figures. But here's the secret. Nearby villages within a 10 to 15-minute drive, places like Belford or Sea Houses, often have much more affordable housing, sometimes under £200,000, while still offering daily access to Bamburgh's beach. The lifestyle here revolves around the outdoors. Residents walk the beach in all seasons, surf when the swell allows, and ride horses along the shore. The night skies are some of the darkest in England, perfect for stargazing. For those who can work remotely or make the drive to Newcastle, about an hour and a half, Bamburgh offers a kind of coastal life that feels both cinematic and deeply grounded in its local history. Port Isaac, Cornwall. Port Isaac is famous to some as the filming location for the TV series Doc Martin, but to those who know it beyond the cameras, it's a postcard-perfect fishing village clinging to the rugged north coast of Cornwall. Its narrow, winding streets are lined with whitewashed cottages, many with slate roofs and brightly painted doors, and almost all of them seem to slope toward the small harbour at the heart of the village. The beach here is tidal, meaning at high water the harbour is filled, and at low tide a broad sandy expanse is revealed, fringed by rock pools. It's a working harbour, so you'll see fishing boats coming and going, often with the day's catch destined for one of the excellent seafood restaurants in the village. The surrounding cliffs rise steeply, providing walking paths with breathtaking views of the Atlantic. Port Isaac has become something of a destination in recent years, attracting visitors from around the world. But it hasn't lost its authenticity. The fishing industry still operates here, and locals gather at the pub just as they have for generations. The music of the fishermen's friends, the shanty-singing group that hails from the village, drifts into the streets during performances, adding to the charm. Housing prices are high within the village itself due to demand for second homes and holiday lets. A small cottage might start at £350,000 and larger homes easily top £700,000. However, like Bamburgh, the surrounding area offers more accessible options. Nearby towns and villages, such as Wadebridge, a 15-minute drive away, have homes in the £250,000 to £300,000 range, giving you a way to enjoy Port Isaac's beauty without the direct price premium. Despite the popularity, Port Isaac remains a living community. It has a primary school, small shops, a post office, and year-round events. The pace of life is slower here, dictated by tides and weather, and the scenery, dramatic headlands, turquoise waters on sunny days, and stormy grey seas in winter, changes constantly. For those drawn to a mix of natural beauty, cultural charm, and Cornish identity, Port Isaac is a rare find. What unites Bamburgh and Port Isaac beyond their staggering beauty is the sense that they exist on their own terms. They're not engineered tourist traps. They're places with deep roots where the landscape and the people have shaped each other over centuries. Living in either means accepting certain trade-offs, remoteness, exposure to the elements, and a quieter pace. But for many, those aren't drawbacks at all. They're the point. Tenby, Pembrokeshire. If there's a town in Wales that could pass for the Mediterranean on the right day, it's Tenby. Set within medieval walls on the southwest coast, it's a kaleidoscope of pastel-painted houses, golden beaches, and a bustling harbour that looks like it's been lifted from a postcard. The town sits between two bays, North Beach and South Beach, each with its own personality. North Beach has the iconic Goscar Rock and a sweeping curve of sand, while South Beach is a 2-mile stretch backed by dunes, leading toward the village of Penally. In summer, the turquoise shallows sparkle, and the tide retreats to reveal broad, warm sands that feel almost continental. The harbour, framed by colourful Georgian terraces, buzzes with fishing boats, pleasure cruises, and ferries out to Calais Island, home to a Cistercian monastery and pristine beaches of its own. In winter, Tenby slows down, the streets quieten, and the beaches become vast, peaceful spaces where you can walk for an hour without passing another soul. The town itself is compact but well equipped. There are independent shops, art galleries, cafes, and a strong restaurant scene, from traditional fish and chips to fine dining. The schools are well regarded, and Pembroke Dock and Carmarthen provide access to larger supermarkets, healthcare, and transport links. Swansea is around 90 minutes by car, and Cardiff about 2 hours, making Tenby more of a relocation choice than a commuter hub. Housing prices here reflect its popularity, but they're not unattainable. Flats can start around £180,000 to £200,000, with terrace cottages in the £250,000 to £350,000 range. Larger townhouses or homes with sea views can push far higher, especially in the historic centre. However, nearby villages like Saundersfoot and Penally offer more budget-friendly options while keeping Tenby's beaches within daily reach. Tenby's magic lies in its blend of history, beauty, and community. You can step from a medieval gate onto a beach in minutes, or spend a rainy day exploring narrow, cobbled streets that haven't changed in centuries. For those seeking a lively yet livable seaside town, it's hard to beat. Weston-super-Mare, Somerset. For decades, Weston-super-Mare was seen as a slightly faded resort, remembered for donkey rides and day trips from Bristol. But in recent years, it has undergone a quiet revival, and today it offers something few UK beach towns can match. A vast sandy beach, solid infrastructure, and house prices that remain firmly in reach for ordinary buyers. The beach here is immense. 2 miles of golden sand that's perfect for walking, sandcastle building, or just sitting with a view across the Bristol Channel to Wales. The tide famously goes out for almost a mile, leaving wide flats where kite buggies race on windy days. The restored Grand Pier adds a touch of classic seaside fun, with arcades, rides and cafes, but it's only a fraction of what the town offers. Weston has the advantage of being just 30 minutes from Bristol by train, making it one of the most commuter-friendly seaside towns in the UK. It's also less than an hour from Bath, and the M5 motorway puts the whole southwest within easy reach. This accessibility, combined with relatively low property prices, has drawn a new wave of residents, from young families to remote workers seeking more space. Prices here start around £160,000 for a one-bedroom flat, with two-bedroom terraces often in the £200,000 to £230,000 range. Even three-bedroom semis can be found for under £300,000, a rarity for a beach town so close to a major city. The housing stock includes Victorian terraces, post-war semis, and modern developments, giving buyers plenty of choice. The town's amenities are strong: multiple supermarkets, a hospital, good schools, and a growing cultural scene anchored by the Playhouse Theatre and seasonal events like the Sand Sculpture Festival. In summer, Weston can get busy with day trippers, but the beach is so large it rarely feels cramped. And in the off-season, it becomes a peaceful expanse where you can watch dramatic sunsets over the channel almost every evening. For those who want the benefits of seaside living without sacrificing big city access, Weston-super-Mare offers a compelling mix, especially for those priced out of the south coast. These 10 beach towns, Cromer, Machynlleth, Abbey, Defy, Whitley Bay, Lossiemouth, Porthcawl, North Berwick, Bamburgh, Port Isaac, Tenby, and Weston-super-Mare prove that the UK's coastline is far more varied, affordable and surprising than the clichés suggest. They're scattered from Cornwall to the Moray Firth, from the Bristol Channel to the North Sea, each with its own unique combination of sand, sea and character. Some are small fishing villages where the tides still set the pace of daily life. Others are large enough to support commuters, offering a blend of city access and beachside calm. A few have postcard-perfect harbours and colourful houses. Others stretch for miles along open sands framed by wild dunes. The common thread is that they're livable, not just holiday destinations, but communities with schools, shops and year-round residents. Affordability varies. Port Isaac and Bamburgh are aspirational for most, while Weston-super-Mare and Lossiemouth remain genuinely accessible. But even in the pricier locations, nearby towns often provide budget-friendly alternatives without losing the coastal magic. In a country where property prices can feel relentlessly high, these towns remind us that the sea isn't reserved for the wealthy. Whether you're looking for a new home, a second base, or just a reminder that there are still corners of Britain where the waves meet the shore without crowds or sky-high price tags, these places are proof. The UK coastline still holds secrets worth discovering.